What if a dark entity fed on your fear and soul until nothing remained but death? It Feeds 2025 is a supernatural horror film directed by Chad Archibald. With an IMDb rating of 5.6 stars out of 10, the film dives into an eerie tale of a malevolent force that attaches itself to its victims, slowly draining them from the inside out. Before we dive into the creepy details, make sure to subscribe to the channel for more spine-tingling recaps. All right, turn down the lights. It's time to meet It Feeds. The film begins with a woman named Cynthia Winstone in a classroom. She notices a book titled The Wolf and the Boy with the name Larry written on it. When she looks inside, she sees the word help scribbled all over the pages. Suddenly, Cynthia hears a voice calling, "Help me, he won't let me go." It's Larry's voice. Cynthia follows the voice and finds Larry trapped in a cage with a man nearby who seems to be keeping him there. Cynthia tells Larry the cage door is open and he can leave, but she also says she can't pull him out. He has to choose to come out on his own. Larry, scared and shaking, says he can't. The man yells at Larry, telling him not to talk to Cynthia, but Cynthia tells Larry to ignore him and says that Larry is the one in control. Larry slowly tries to step out of the cage. Just then, the man with the deformed face smashes the glass and a piece cuts Cynthia. The man lets out a terrifying roar. Cynthia then wakes up. She was inside Larry's memory. Larry is now an adult and is having a therapy session with Cynthia, who is helping him deal with the trauma caused by his school coach. We notice that Cynthia still has the cut on her arm, the same one she got inside the memory. Cynthia's daughter, Jordan Winstone, is also in the therapy session with her. Later, Larry asks Jordan how Cynthia was able to be inside his memory. Jordan explains that both her parents have the power to see other people's memories by touching them, and she is also learning how to do it. Suddenly, there's a knock at the door. Jordan opens the door and sees a scared young girl named Riley Harris. Riley tells Jordan that she needs to talk to Cynthia and doesn't have much time because she left her dad at the grocery store, and he'll arrive any minute. Seeing how frightened she is, Jordan lets her inside. Inside, Jordan asks Riley simple questions like her name, age, and how she knows about Cynthia. Riley says that a woman named Agatha told her father about Cynthia. Jordan also asks about the scars on Riley's hands. Riley says she sees something, like a person, but not really. It's dark and watches her like a hungry dog. Then she tells Jordan, "It was standing right behind me." Cynthia feels that something is wrong.
Jordan, who's at the...
Suddenly, Riley's father, Randall Harris, comes in while Riley begs him to let her stay and get help from Cynthia. But Randall doesn't listen and takes her away. Jordan, worried about Riley, asks Cynthia if they should call the police, but Cynthia says that neither the police nor they can help because something dark and scary is attached to Riley. Angry, Jordan says, "Then that means Riley needs our help even more. If Dad were here, he would have helped her." Cynthia replies, "That's why your dad isn't here anymore." Hurt by her words, Jordan walks away. At night, Jordan searches online for information about Agatha. Cynthia walks in and apologizes for the way she spoke earlier. She then explains that Jordan's father once tried to help a woman who had a dark spirit attached to her. Because of that, he went through a lot of pain and suffering. That's why they usually avoid getting involved with these kinds of spirits. Cynthia gently tells Jordan that one day, when she fully learns how to use her gift, she hopes Jordan will know the difference between when to help others and when to protect herself. The next day, Jordan finds Agatha's address and goes to visit her. Jordan asks about a girl named Riley Harris and says she heard Agatha suggested Cynthia's name to Riley's father, Randall Harris. Agatha says yes, she did. She explains that Randall is a woodworker and his wife passed away last year. Riley took it very hard. When Agatha saw the scars on Riley's hands, Randall told her that Riley hurt herself. Agatha then gives Jordan Randall's address. At home, Cynthia sketches the dark figure connected to Riley. She looks at a photo of her husband and says softly that she's never felt a spirit this strong before. She decides it's too dangerous and says she won't take the risk to help. In the next scene, Jordan goes to the address Agatha gave her. She meets Randall, introduces herself, and says she's there to see Riley. Randall remembers her and calmly says Riley is just going through a tough time and doesn't need strangers getting involved. Jordan tries to explain that she only wants to help, but Randall firmly tells her to leave and he goes into the shed to work. As Jordan walks away, she spots Riley through the basement window. Worried, she sneaks into the house and finds a closet with a hidden door. She unlocks it and goes down into the basement, calling for Riley. She says, Randall can't keep you locked up like this. Then Riley's voice comes from behind another door.
He doesn't lock me down here. He locks them down here.
Who's that?
Just then, her phone rings. It's her mom. Jordan answers, but before she can say anything, Randall suddenly appears and hits her on the head, knocking her out, and he cuts the call. Soon, Cynthia gets a call from Agatha, who asks if Jordan talked to Randall. Cynthia, confused, asks, "Who is Randall?" Agatha explains that Jordan visited her earlier, asked about Randall, and took his address. Worried, Cynthia asks for the address. Agatha says she'll show her, so Cynthia quickly rushes out. In the next scene, Jordan wakes up tied to a chair. She sees another woman in the room, also tied up and covered in wounds. Soon, Randall comes in and asks Jordan for her phone password. Scared, Jordan tells him that her mom, Cynthia, can help Riley understand what the dark spirit wants and how to stop it. But Randall says, "We already know what it wants. Riley has to feed it, or it will feed on her." Riley walks up to Jordan, says, "I'm sorry," and gently touches her. Suddenly, the dark entity appears and touches Jordan, burning her skin as it feeds on her. Then, Randall uses Jordan's face to unlock her phone. In the next scene, Cynthia and Agatha are driving to Randall's place. Cynthia tells Agatha that she thinks Jordan is in danger, but Agatha isn't convinced. She shows Cynthia a message from Jordan that says, "Just hanging with friends," but it was actually Randall who sent the text. He then smashes Jordan's phone and gets ready to sink her car to cover his tracks before leaving town. Riley walks in and says maybe Jordan's mom can help them, but Randall ignores her. He says they'll feed the entity one last time before they go. Quietly, Riley picks up a wire cutter without Randall noticing. Riley goes to Jordan and quietly asks if Cynthia can really see the entity. Jordan says yes and promises her mom will help her. Riley tells Jordan she doesn't want Randall to get in trouble because he was only trying to protect her, then hands Jordan the wire cutters. Meanwhile, Randall realizes the cutters are missing. Jordan quickly uses them to free herself and the injured woman. They run, but outside, Randall is waiting with a gun. Before he can shoot, Riley steps in and says she doesn't want anyone else to get hurt and that Jordan's mom can help, but Randall doesn't listen. Suddenly, the injured woman attacks Randall. In the struggle, Randall accidentally shoots Riley. She dies in Jordan's arms. Just then, Jordan sees the dark entity now attached to her. Horrified, she runs out of the house and sees Cynthia. Terrified, Jordan breaks down in her mom's arms, crying hard. After hearing the police sirens, Randall runs away. At the police station, Detective John Otis tells Cynthia that Randall escaped and the other injured woman was taken to the hospital. In the interrogation room, two detectives ask Jordan how she got the wounds on her arms. Jordan lies and says Randall attacked her, and the marks are from struggling. The detectives then tell her they found human remains in Randall's backyard and that she might be the best chance to find him. But suddenly,
I think I need to go home.
Okay.
in the next scene, Jordan tells Cynthia that she can see the dark entity, but Cynthia says if it were really there, she would be able to sense it. Jordan tries to make her mom understand, saying Riley died in her arms and she saw the entity leave Riley and attach itself to her. She begs her mom to look inside her, but Cynthia refuses, scared that if she does, she'll see her late husband because she and Jordan share the same painful memory. After thinking for a while, Cynthia decides to look into Jordan's mind. She touches Jordan and is pulled into her memory. Cynthia sees a younger Jordan sitting outside a house. Then Cynthia goes inside the house and sees the dark entity touch her. In real life, burns appear on Cynthia's arms, so Agatha quickly slaps her to wake her up. Later that night, after Jordan falls asleep, Cynthia asks Agatha to stay with her. Agatha agrees, and Cynthia heads out. She goes to the hospital and asks Larry about the doctor who treated a patient with the last name Harris, hinting at Riley's mother who died last year. Larry checks and says the patient was Samantha Harris, and her doctor was Dr. Whitaker, who's now retired. Cynthia asks for his contact info, and Larry gives her the doctor's phone number. Later that night, Cynthia meets Dr. Whitaker. She tells him that one of her clients has the same symptoms as Samantha Harris and asks for his help. Dr. Whitaker explains that Samantha's condition was very serious. It was like she was rotting from the inside and outside. He says that one day Samantha told him she wanted to show him something and asked him not to be scared. When she touched him, an entity feeds on him. After that, he decided to retire. He even shows Cynthia the scar he got where Samantha touched him. Dr. Whitaker also says that Riley stayed by her mother's side and held her hand until she passed away. In the next scene, a police car is parked outside Cynthia's house. That night, Jordan dreams of her younger self walking toward a ladder.
No.
Suddenly, she wakes up and sees the door slowly opening by itself. She quietly goes downstairs and spots the dark entity. But before she can do anything, Randall Harris suddenly attacks her from behind. Soon after, Cynthia comes home and finds Agatha unconscious on the floor. Cynthia quickly asks what happened, and Agatha weakly says, "Someone was here." Terrified, Cynthia runs to Jordan's room and sees that she's missing. She rushes outside to the police car and tells the officer. Meanwhile, Randall has kidnapped Jordan and tied her up inside a wooden crate. Then Jordan wakes up inside the crate. She opens it a little and says she's sorry about what happened to Riley. But Randall tells her it's not about Riley, it's about the dark entity. He says the entity is inside Jordan now, and the only way to stop it is to bury her alive, so it can't move to anyone else after she dies. Jordan begs him not to do it, but Randall closes the crate and starts to bury her. Soon after, Randall turns himself in to the police. Cynthia asks Detective John if she can speak with him, and he agrees. When Cynthia touches Randall, she begins to chant and enters his memories. In one of them, she sees where Jordan is buried in a wooden crate. Cynthia quickly tells Detective John what she saw. Then, she and Agatha rush out in a car to find Jordan, with Detective John following behind them. While the dark entity feeds on Jordan in the crate, soon Cynthia reaches the spot and she and Agatha start digging. They find the crate and Cynthia quickly opens it. Just then, police sirens are heard nearby. Cynthia tells Agatha to distract the cops so she can save her daughter. While Agatha keeps the officers busy, Cynthia touches Jordan and enters her mind. Inside, she sees Jordan sitting outside a house. Cynthia tells her to wait there while she goes inside with a lamp. Cynthia climbs up the attic ladder and sees a memory of her husband hanging. The dark entity appears, and Cynthia tells it to take her instead of Jordan. As the entity starts feeding on her, Cynthia uses the moment to touch it and begins chanting. This pulls her into the entity's mind, where she finds herself trapped and tied up. Meanwhile, Detective John finds Cynthia in the woods. He quietly tells the other officers he didn't find her, giving Cynthia more time and whispers for her to hurry. Back inside the house, Jordan climbs up to the attic and sees the memory of her dad hanging. She breaks down in tears, then sees Cynthia facing the entity but not waking up. Jordan breaks their connection, but her mother still doesn't wake up. So Jordan bravely enters the entity's mind herself. Inside, Jordan stabs the entity, freeing Cynthia. Together, they fight the dark force and finally destroy it. 6 months later, Cynthia is outside the same house where everything happened. She sees young Jordan sitting outside. Cynthia gently takes her inside and leads her up to the attic. There, older Jordan climbs up and sees the memory of her dad hanging. She walks over, loosens the rope, and breaks down crying, finally letting go of her pain. Back in the real world, Cynthia and Jordan wake up from the therapy session. They look at each other and hug tightly, both finally free from the past. The movie ends, and that was It Feeds, a chilling tale of trauma, darkness, and the power of letting go. If you enjoyed this recap, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more chilling movie stories. Until next time, stay safe, trust no one, and whatever you do, don't let it feed.